If you're wondering what to do with your Baromagnes Nordic Castile, it's been placed on the ban list. Why not try these series? Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm N64 here. Today we are back for Baromagnes. This is actually the first time I've covered Baromagnes on this channel because, personally speaking, the deck has been super linear in terms of how you build it. I understand there's a few ways to build Baro, but your card pool isn't very wide to begin with, and it's been 3 sets and Baro was skipped for triple rare, so yeah. But I finally decided that now would be a really great time for me to talk about Baromagnes because of this exact predicament. Because he appears to be so stale in terms of what he can actually do, because he didn't get a lot of support, but the few cards he got and the few cards he can steal are really good. So today we're actually going to be talking about set 3 Baromagnes. Because this is the first time I'm talking about Baromagnes on the channel, I'll be a bit more slower in describing what the stuff does. But I just want to put this out of the way before I start. I understand that the Desire Devil stuff for Greedon is relatively appealing for the Baromagnes fans, but I personally think that there's not much of usage for them. I think only besides the great one from the right deck, which makes a decent inclusion, everything else just feels a bit too overcosted or a bit too locked to the sense that you won't actually want to play them in Baro. I feel that, strangely, it's weird I'm saying this, but I feel Baro has better options than boring stuff in Greedon. So, yeah, out of the gate, I just want to say that. So, if you don't see much of the Desire Devil stuff, you'll be wondering, oh, why is that? Well, I'm putting it right now, I don't play them. Are they bad? No, but it's just my personal player preference. Another thing I have to get out of the way, this Baromagnes list is tilted more towards a Turbo 15, which is the more notorious version of Baro you would have seen. Turbo 15 basically just means you turbo to 15 soul, and then you just try and win from there. So yeah, that's pretty much all I just want to put out of the way. Let's actually start with this deck. Our right deck, we play our Grade 0. I play the Desire Devil starter because I think he's really adorable, but if you want to play the funky green psychic kit, it's fine. I bought a holo for him too. I wasted like $3 on it, but who cares. One copy of Deep Sonica. Deep Sonica has 2 skills. When wrote on the Vanguard Circle, you soul charge 1. Okay. Vanguard Circle, during your turn, as long as you have 10 or more cards in soul, he gets another 10,000 power. So he's an 18k beater on 18k booster. You may be wondering, why do I have to bring this up? Well, when you see Baro's full list of skills, he actually makes a lot of sense. You can actually keep him in the soul as a bit of a toolboxing, and then you can just pull him up for a nice booster or beater. Electro Spartan. Electro Spartan is 2 skills. When rolled upon by Baromagnes, you place a card from your hand into the soul, you draw, and soul charge 1. So it's a selected train into the soul, which is pretty cool. It's like Eugene's one. And then there's another skill when placed on rearguard, counter blast 1, soul charge 2. Electro Spartan used to be an absolute 4th for Baro because he was just that good in set 1, and set 2 I would argue he still had a slot. In set 3, however, he becomes a bit more disputed in terms of whether you really want to play him or not. I believe you don't need to play him in your main deck anymore, but for right deck he certainly does keep his spot. Of course, our main grade 3 is Master of Gravity Baromagnes. Baromagnes is a very long collective skill. When he attacks, you counterblast 1 and activate X amount of effects equals to the number of cards in your soul. 5 or more, you draw a card. 10 or more, Baromagnes gains 10,000 power and plus 1 critical. 15 or more, move all fighters' rearguards into their souls. So all of your rearguards move to your soul, all of your opponent's rearguards go into their soul. Then you choose 2 cards from your soul and Superior call them out. They get 10,000 power. I need to just say something first, and that is that you cannot count the rearguards as part of your soul cost for 15. You have to be at 15 first, then you get to drag everything to the soul. So yeah, secondly, as you notice, it's kind of like a multi-attack deck / Blade Master / I don't know, Pale Moon-ish kind of thing. So very interesting design. I mean, this is the first time we have like a bunch of human elemental people with stuff. So I found this deck pretty cool. Baromagnes is a great deck, and he's really the main pinnacle of this deck. This is really what the whole deck plays around, because you just want to make sure you get these skills good, because they are good skills to have. Yeah, but as you probably see from just the right deck alone, you can kind of guess that because this whole deck is going to be tilted quite heavily towards soul charging, you more often than not are not going to have much in terms of defenses or hands. So This list tries to work around those weaknesses and up its strengths, so just keep these in mind when you actually see the rest of the deck. Our grade 3s, we play 1 copy of Baromagnes for the right deck. Then we play 2 copies of this girl. We play 4 copies of Bruce's Dbt03 Order, Pandemonium Tactics, and we play 4 copies of Curtis. Let's break it down. We only play 1 Baromagnes because, to be honest, Persona Writing is cool, but you really just want to put your whole deck into soul charging and aggression. You don't have time to wait for turn 4 and then a card becomes viable. You want to be faster than that, and that's why I only play 1 Baromagnes. You may have heard this as Mono Baro. It's a more slangish term for this deck build, and I'm personally a fan of it. I think, honestly, if you want to play Baros in your main deck, it's either 4 altogether or just 1. And for me, I kind of think 1 is the way to go right now because we just need every slot available to really help us in this aspect of playing Baromagnes. Then, of course, we move on to our next grade 3, is this girl from Dbt02. She has a very simple skill. As long as your Vanguard is Baromagnes, she gains 5,000 power. So she's an 18k body for absolutely no cost. It's just 18k. Really good in terms of early aggression. You can even combo this. You can even combo this when you Superior Call from the Soul with your Deep Sonica from your right deck, and you can make a pretty devastating column or just multi-attacking. In my opinion, it really just swings quite lethally because you have an 18k body at your disposal. 2 copies because, you know, like I just said, you really can 2-box the Soul, so you don't really need that many copies of her. And to be honest, that's all she does. She's just magic numbers. She doesn't help in terms of the soul charging aspect. So I think a 2-off is fine. Next off, we're going to Curtis. Curtis is a long-staying card from Dbt01, and to be honest, I don't think he can be removed from the deck until he's actually power cracked. When placed on a Vanguard circle, if your Vanguard is again Baromagnes, you may soul charge too. Pretty cool. His second skill is Counterblast 2. If your soul has 10 or more cards, your front row units get 5,000 power until the end of turn. So not only does Baromagnes become a 28k body, Curtis becomes 18k, and your other unit on the front row also gets 5k. Pretty good. Yes, Counterblast is tight in this deck, but there's once in a while where you will have excess, so you can spend it on Curtis to just ramp your numbers a bit higher. It's fun. Last but not least, in terms of what we have left, we have 4 copies of Pandemonium Tactics. You may be shocked, you may be gagging, you may be having extreme diarrhea, but I assure you that this card is not what you think it is. Pandemonium Tactics has a very long set of skills depending on whether you're in Final Rush. But what we're here for is its first line, Counterblast 1 and Soul Charge 4. Yeah, that's it. Soul Charge 4 is the largest Soul Charge we actually have in terms of a Dark States card. And it's just that good. A Soul Charge 4 can really just pump Baro's Soul up and beyond. Using it once is good enough, using it twice is even better. We play 4 for max consistency. I understand that this is a very, very jarring topic on whether you actually play Pandemonium Tactics or not, because there are people who are like, yeah, I agree, you know, let's turbo 15. And then there are people who are like, no, you know, Baro has other orders, you know, we have the different ability extraction, we have crawl you insects, we don't have to use Pandemonium Tactics as our grade 3 order slot, we can play a lot better options. And those are perfectly fine, because I've tried both orders as well, and I love them both. I think all of the Baro orders or Dark States orders that Baro can actually tap into right now are pretty funky, especially the grade 3 lineup. But for me, because we are playing a more turbo style, I still believe 4 is your best bet. Moving on to our grade 2s, we play 1 copy of Electro Spartan for the right deck. We play 4 copies of Selfish Engraver. We play 2 copies of Keenly Rudy. And then we play 4 copies of Crimson Expeller. Let's break it down. This is for your right deck. I think it's pretty obvious. I don't have to talk about it. We move into Crimson Expeller. Expeller is our set 2 generic Dark States, triple rare. He only has 2 skills. When he attacks, you soul charge 1. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's a free soul charge, and it's a compulsory soul charge. So keep that in mind. Second skill is from your soul stack. You may counterblast 1 and place him from your soul into your drop zone. Choose your Vanguard, it gets 10,000 power, you soul charge 1. Great for Greedon, decent for Baro. Honestly, you barely use the soul skill because your counterblast is just so much better aspects, and he's just technically just a replacement in 1. But I guess for what it's worth, it's fine. You know, he's a decent put in soul target. He's not like the greatest thing, Honestly, if I'm to compare him to Orlando from my Eugene deck profile, I feel Orlando gets much more mileage than this guy. But hey, Baro doesn't have that many options, so I take what I can get. Next off on the list, we play 4 copies of Selfish Engraver. She's also a long-staying set 1 card, and probably the most beautiful one. She has 2 skills. When an attack hits, you soul charge 1. It's a compulsory skill as well, like Expeller, but Expeller was an on attack. She's tied to an on hit. So your opponent gets to choose whether you actually soul charge or not. The second skill is, at the end of the battle that is unit attack, you may move her into your soul stack, and then you counter charge 1 as long as you have 10 or more cards in soul. Yeah, it's pretty cool, you know. You counter charge really easily, and it goes back in your soul, so you can just pull it out again later. It soul charges itself as well. It's just good card all around, and it's a really cute card as well. So definitely play Selfish Engraver at a 4, no exception. If you can't afford it at the holo rarity, as I have graciously poured my money into this thing, you can just buy the common. It's really cheap. I just really like this card. Speaking of cards I really like, here's Kinley Rudy, the thumbnail of this video. Yes, she is the only main dedicated support to Baromagnes. So honestly speaking, the rest of these cards, if you've probably seen, are all from set 2 and 1, with the exception of Pandemonium. This is your only dedicated Baromagnes card from set 3. So I'm watching you, Bushido. I'm watching you. So here's the skill of Kinley Rudy. When placed on a Vanguard circle, if your Vanguard is Baromagnes, you may counterblast 1, choose any number of normal units from your soul, move it to your deck, shuffle your deck, and this unit gets 5,000 power for each unit you move with this effect. What does that mean? Basically speaking, any normal unit you don't want in your soul anymore, you can just chuck it into your deck. That PG you threw in accidentally, it can go back. That Baromagnes you threw in accidentally, it can go back. Anything you want back in the deck, you throw it back. Normal units, so you know you can't move your entire trigger stuff, which is kind of sad. It kind of means that you know your late game, your whole deck's gonna be filled with triggers, but that filled with non triggers. But I guess it's fine. Really, this card is just used to extend your life because you soul charge a lot, you turbo a lot, so you ideally do want to stay alive and not deck out. Set 2 Baro had a real problem of decking out and dying, so hey, you know this card really solves it. But if you're not interested in using this card as a a safety net for Baromagnes, that's also fine as well. You can also just use it as a decent beat stick, swinging here and there on your early turns. Just counter blast, send about 2 to 3 units back to the deck. It gains about 15,000 power, which by itself is no laughing matter. Yeah, it fills the deck a little bit. It kind of unthinens your deck, but that's fine. You can also use Kinley Rudy in this way. But to me, I believe Kinley Rudy is best used as a safety net for Baromagnes to make sure that he doesn't die. Moving on to our Grey Ones, we play a copy of Deep Sonica for our right deck. We play 4 copies of our stronger PGs. We play 3 copies of Freeze Breeze, and we play 3 copies of Brother's Soul. Let's break it down. This is for your right deck. I really don't have to describe as much. Brother's Soul is from the start deck of Bruce. When played Soul Charge 2. It's only used in the early game. When you go to the turn 3 onwards, you prefer to play Pandemonium Tactics. So really you don't have to use this card. But for what it's worth in the early game, it's pretty good. People played at the 3 to 4. I chose 3 because I need a bit more slots. But I think it's still pretty good nonetheless. We play 4 copies of our stronger PG for obvious reasons. And I play 3 copies of Freeze Breeze. Freeze Breeze is a card that a lot of people have talked about for set 2 Baromagnes, and for good reason. When this unit boosts an attack that hits your opponent's Vanguard, as long as your Vanguard is Baromagnes, you may choose to soul charge 1. And then, if you wanna, you can counterblast 1 and draw 2 cards. But the condition for this is that your soul must have 10 or more cards. Yeah, it's pretty good, It soul charges 1 as long as the attack hits. So if you're at 9 soul, soul charge, 10 soul, counterblast 1, draw 2. Really good. Baromagnes has an insane issue when it comes to hand size, because we just drop so much stuff. This is really your only key way of replenishing your hand. The draw 2 is just that good when tied to an on hit. Yeah, some people saying, oh, I would prefer it not to be an on hit, but come on, you can't have everything in life for free. So yeah, I think Freeze Breeze is a great 2 to 3 off. I played 3 off because I really like the skill. I didn't buy the holo, I ran out of money. Yeah, F and jet. But yeah, I think besides that, it's a really good card. Yes, I know some people just do not play Freeze Breeze in general, and that's fine because, who needs draw? Just soul charge more, just beat down more. But to me, it's because I just really like the advantage that you can kind of supplement, considering Baro already has a very bad hand size. So yeah, that's why I play 3 Freeze Breeze. But this one is really more of a player preference, just like how I choose not to play the Desire Devils. So if you want to play the Desire Devil Grade 1 in your right deck, this is probably the slot to take. Not right deck, sorry, main deck. Speaking of Desire Devils, our Grade 0s we play the Desire Devil starter. We play 4 of the Soul Crit, 4 of the other crits, 3 draw, 1 Baromagnes, 4 heal. Really simplistic lineup, as you can see. Starters for the right deck. I really don't have to talk about it. We play Baromagnes because it's Baromagnes. Yes, the base OT is an actual option for Baromagnes, so don't laugh at it. But to me, I just like Baromagnes. His art, his skill of Force 1, Force 2. What's there not to like? It's Rising Nova. I play 4 heal because I'm interested in not dying. I play 8 crit because, it's the max number crit can play. I play 4 the Soul Crit because he benefits Baromagnes. Because he benefits all the Dark States, really. Yes, I understand that he's very expensive. All the Soul Crits are very expensive, but especially for the state of Dark States, I do recommend you actually picking it up if you can afford it. But if you can't, it's fine, because you barely end up using your Soul Crits. It's just the 1 to 2 fringe matches that close you and save you a lot. We also play 3 draw because Baromagnes is a piece reliant deck, so yeah. I understand you can play shield fronts, but to be honest, you may say, oh, but draws help you deck out. I won't be decking out, thanks to Kingly Rudy. So now that argument has gone down the drain, I can go back to playing my draws. And that actually wraps it up for set 2, Baromagnes. You heard me. I said set 2. Because honestly, this deck has barely changed at all, And that's kind of a good and bad thing. It's a good thing because it's relatively cheap to maintain, aside from maybe I would say the Soul Crits, because the Soul Crits are really pretty pricey. I would say they're actually the main price pain for Baro in set 3. If you can afford the Soul Crits, you can afford literally everything else in this deck. But yeah, for what it is, Baromagnes is still a pretty good deck. I've seen a lot of people argue about him because some people saying, oh, he didn't get anything in set 3, so it's really hard for him to catch up. He's the newest deck in format. All hail Phantom Blaster Dragon. He's now a lot better thanks to the new grade 2. And I'm not sure, to be honest. I can't say for sure that this means Baromagnes is your worst deck in format. I still think Baromagnes is pretty much usage. The same way, I think Phantom Blaster Dragon is also not our worst deck in format because I think in some matches he actually does pretty well. So honestly, I think it remains to be seen, where is Baro right now? Is he seriously at the bottom, or is he floating back up to the top? Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you all next time. As I said in my Eugene video description, deck profiles in terms of the regularity of it will be cut down due to personal time issues that I have. So you can expect to see less, also my health and shit. So yeah, I seek your understanding all of that. There will be videos, of course. I'm not quitting or anything. It's just that it's going to be a lot lesser in terms of how fast they come out. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you all next time. Goodbye. Stay safe.